Hari Om. Gently close your eyes. Your fingers interlaced and placed in front. Your back, neck and head erect. Your breathing is normal. Your body is relaxed. Stay vacant of all thoughts in your mind. If any thoughts come in, gently dismiss them. We will chant the mantra Om followed by the invocatory prayer. Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. We will chant 10 shlokas from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, verses 1 to 10, please. Chapter 5, verses 1 to 10. Okay. Arjuna uvacha Sanyasam karmanam Krishna Punaryogam cha samshasi Yatshreya etayorekam Tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Shri Bhagavan uvacha Sanyasah karma yogascha Nishreyasakara ubhau Tayostu karma sanyasat Karma yogo vishishyate Nyeyasa nitya sanyasi Yo nadveshti na kankshate Nirdvandvo hi mahabaho Sukham bandhat pramuchyate. Sankhya yoga pratak balaha Pravadanti na panditaha Ekamapyastita samyak Ubhayor vindate phalam. Yet sankhya prapyate sthanam tad yogairapi gamyate yekam sankyam cha yogam cha yah pashyati sa pashyati sanyasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptumayogataha yoga-yukto munir brahma nachirena-dhigacchati yoga-yukto vishuddhatma vijidatma jitendriyaha sarvabhutatma bhutatma kurvannapi na lipyate naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tatvitavit. We will chant again from 7, please. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijidatma jitendriyaha sarvabhutatma bhutatma kurvannapi na lipyate naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavit pashyan shrunvan sprishan jigran ashnan gachan swapan shwasan pralapan visrijan grinnan unmishan nimishannapi indriyanindriyartheshu vartanta iti dharayan brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyate na sapapena padmapatramivambhasa. Role of intellect. That's the topic we were discussing last session. Human being alone possess the faculty to think, to decide, to discriminate, and that word is intellect, Buddhi in Sanskrit. A human being possesses intelligence, and when a person start using that intelligence to attain one's objective in life, and also when he or she uses his or her thinking to govern one's likes and dislikes, feelings, emotions, desires, channelize one's desires towards a chosen ideal. When a person renders one's action unselfish, then we say that person not only possesses intelligence, he or she possesses intellect also. Hence, in this context, we can say when a person has control over one's own whims and fancies of the mind, desires, feelings, emotions, then a person is an intellectual. Those who are intelligent may not be an intellectual. So, definition of an intellectual will be governance over one's own mind. People, those who are conducting stress management seminars, they themselves may be highly stressed. They may be divorced in life, divorcee. Meaning, one of the important role of intellect is to relate with the world, to relate with other human beings. If you are not able to understand your own spouse, and where is the question of relating with other human beings? If we are not able to deal with our own children, if we are not able to deal with our own people, then how can we say that we are living this knowledge? So, a person who is an intelligent person need not be an intellectual. A person who is an intellectual, who has control over one's own mind, may or may not, would have not attended, gone to school or university, but they are intellectuals, meaning they are able to use their thinking not necessarily in the terrestrial world, but they have bothered to develop their subtle intellect. In the last session, we were discussing about the difference between gross intellect and subtle intellect. Gross intellect is discrimination employed in the terrestrial world, and subtle intellect is to discriminate between transcendental and the terrestrial. Is there life beyond the terrestrial world? When I say here life beyond terrestrial world, even life in Mars is also part of terrestrial world only. Who has fixed the distance between Sun and Earth? We are measuring, scientists are measuring the distance between Sun and Earth, Sun and Mars. But who has fixed the distance? If Earth is closer to Sun, what would have happened? If Earth is farther away from Sun, what would have happened? A person who is able to discriminate between, is there anything beyond the terrestrial world? A person is able to understand that anything terrestrial is passing, is not permanent. Then is there anything permanent in this world? Unchanging and changing. So, to come back to a discussion here, we are talking about the role of intellect. Therefore, a person, who is able to think, decide, judge, able to employ thinking in the terrestrial world and in the beyond the terrestrial, such a person is termed as an intellectual. So even in the terrestrial world, if we are not using that equipment to think, it is like if I am not using this arm, left arm, imagine I have fractured this left arm and it is plastered, and for 3 to 4 weeks it's plastered, and my hand is immobile, and after the plaster is removed, I feel though my arm is attached to my body, I feel this arm, since I have not used it for a month, I am not able to perform any activity with this, any action with this arm. Imagine if I have not used this arm for 1 year, how it will be. Though it is there, it is of no use. It has lost its vitality. Same way, friends, only when we exercise this physical body, this body is in perfect condition. Same way, if we do not use the equipment to think, if we do not use intellect at all, then though available, though present, it becomes of no use to us, like this arm. Thinking, intellect becomes of no use at all to us. All the time we are using the mind. We are all the time using, the likes and dislikes, desires. So we function at the level of the mind. The dignity, the beauty of a human being is to function at the level of the intellect. If we are functioning at the level of the mind, if we are functioning at the level of the emotions, the likes and dislikes, then we are lowering ourselves to the level of animals. In William Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar, beautifully Mark Antony says, "O judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason." We have stopped thinking. It's like, slaves are not allowed to think. Whatever instructions has been given, you just carry it out. You don't think. So when you don't think, then what happens is, it's like the intellect is chained. First of all, you have it, you don't use it, and others also does not allow you to use that equipment. That is the beauty here. And you think that I can't think. Then after some time you will come to a conclusion that I cannot think, and there is no equipment to think. And that is it's a very sad state. Therefore, what is important here is, first of all, we should know that we possess the intellect, the equipment to think, and you should recognize in others first. Only then you can understand, yes, I am also a human being. Then do I possess this equipment? And then start believing in things that I also possess intellect, the equipment to think, and I should also use it. How to use it? When to use it? Where to use it? So we should understand the different hierarchy. Physical body is gross. Subtler than the physical body is the mind. Therefore, we say the mind controls the physical body. It is the likes and dislikes, the desires, the feelings, emotions. They control the physical body. It is not the body controlling the mind. And most of us, vast majority of human beings, function at the level of the mind. Likes and dislikes giving instructions to the mind, physical body. Desires giving instructions to the physical body. And we don't think, we don't believe that there is nothing beyond this mind. for generations people were living in the caves, and they were quite happy with playing with their shadows. Shadow here is a little light that is coming from maybe a gap between stones or the opening of the mouth of the cave or something like that. And then they have created fire. So the little light that is there inside, the artificial light, they would have been playing with their own shadows. Until one person who broke away from that group and then walked. And this is a very peculiar situation. Neither you are with your people. When people are around, you feel automatically, you are safe there. And you don't see light. And in that peculiar situation, you are caught up between the future ahead where there is no light there. And you already quit your people and you are lost the way there. So you are in the middle, neither to proceed forward or go backwards. But if you have that determination, that willpower, intellectual strength, and walk towards that light, that little light, that faith that tells you, yes, no, I am proceeding towards light. And then when you keep walking, you come to the mouth of the cave and then you come to open, where there is brilliant light. And for years together, people, the same man would have been living in the darkness inside. Even though you have been living in darkness for ages, that first strike of light gives you that immense happiness, and all that darkness has gone. That darkness would have been there for many years, but that first strike of light recedes all darkness. Light here is knowledge. Darkness is ignorance. First of all, we should know that we have an intellect, that faculty, and you should know that you can think and that you have a faculty to think. Only when you have that intellect, you can come to an understanding that you can think. If you don't have that equipment at all, that little that ounce of thinking there, that element there, yes, I can think. Because for years together you have been living with that assumption that I can't think. That is ignorance. So beautifully it is said, it is aggravated by the fact that one needs an intellect to notice the absence of intellect. And this is what, beautifully said by Josh Billings. The trouble with most folks is not their ignorance, but their knowing many things which is not so. We assume that we know many things. And out of ignorance, we perform many action. Incidentally, because of ignorance, whatever action we have performed, it would have the result that it produces maybe is up to our satisfaction. But that doesn't mean that you continue to live in ignorance and continue to perform your actions based out of ignorance. So this intellect, how it can be utilized in our daily walk of life. Two things. First, you should understand that you possess intellect and how to use it, where to use it, and how can I further build this intellect. Swami Parthasarathi, my guru, always used to say two things. Study early in the morning, the auspicious time, the Brahma Muhurta time, between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m., whichever part of the world you are. If you are in the eastern part of the world, you follow your 4 a.m., 6 a.m. 4 a.m., 6 a.m. time. If you are in the western side, You follow your 4 a.m., 6 a.m. time. If you are not able to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock is okay, 5 to 6. First and foremost thing is, you always used to say, get up in the morning, freshen up, and then study. Study the higher values. Your scripture. It can be the Bhagavad Gita, it can be the Upanishads, it can be the Bible, it can be Quran, anything. Study your scripture. And study here means question the facts of life that are mentioned in that scripture. Never accept anything for granted. So development of intellect is whatever intellect, 1%, 5%, whatever that we have, it's not that human being cannot think. So in any sphere of activity, every sphere of activity, you question. Never accept anything for granted. If you question and if you think that you will get into trouble, then don't question people outside. You keep questioning yourself. You are reading a page, reading a paragraph from the scripture. You independently use your thinking, come to your own conclusion. If it accepts to your reason and logic, accept it. I remember, as an athlete, I used to, do a lot of exercises, but never been to a gymnasium. So I never know the art of weightlifting. But I remember my coach, I'm talking about Integral Coach Factory in ICF, near Perambur in Chennai. As a young boy, a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, my coach always used to say, you don't need a gymnasium to build our muscles, to build our body. If we are able to use our own body weight and do sit-ups or push-ups, then it will help us in the long run. And that's what I have done. Today the concept is completely changed. Even those who are playing cricket, leave alone boxing and other games. Even those people are very muscular now. Athletes, Usain Bolt, etc. So the concept has changed. The point here is, I'm connecting here, how to build our intellect. In our daily walk of life, we have to use that limited intellect that we have by asking questions. If you are comfortable, ask, if you are able to think yourself and then get an answer, which is to your reason and logic, then you accept it. You may not know whether it is the correct answer or not after questioning the scripture. So you may have to ask someone, seek wise counsel. Then if you ask somebody, if you think that you may get into trouble, then you have to patiently wait to get the right person to ask. And that person should guide you objectively. That is very important. Impersonally. So, first thing is, build your intellect. And when you use your thinking, when you start questioning, that 5% becomes 6%, 7%. And whatever you have read in the morning, studied in the morning, try to apply it, see it practically in your daily walk of life. Whatever you have learned, you are watching a movie along with your family, you are at the office, whatever experiences that you're going through, try to relate that experience with people around to what you have already learned, studied in the scripture. By that way, what happens is, when you are able to relate, somebody is egoistic, somebody is passive, somebody is thinking, somebody is selfish, someone is jealous, someone is arrogant, someone is lusty, angry. You can see powerful likes and dislikes in others. Someone uses, is an opportunist, a materialist. The reason is, when you are able to see all these qualities exhibited in others, it is difficult to see in yourself objectively, impersonally. When you are seeing it outside, in people around, maybe your own close people, your spouse, your children, your own father and mother, anybody, your boss, then you relate that experience with the knowledge what you have gained. Believe me, after some time you will start questioning, if I'm able to see these qualities in others, then am I free from these qualities? Do I possess these qualities, whether it's the positive or the negative side? And that's how you start applying this knowledge in yourself, in your life. A lady asked me when I was conducting the Bhagavad Gita lectures in Hyderabad, in India, how to apply this intellect in our daily walk of life. And that's what we are discussing, the role of intellect. We will discuss one day how this intellect is applied in our daily walk of life. The previous night, I am watching a movie with my family members, and the next day I may have a board meeting. If I am a CEO, I may have a board meeting. If I am a student, I may have an examination next day. If I am a housewife, guests are coming next day. You have invited somebody. Then the previous night, when you are watching a movie, or you may be watching a sport, at what time should I go to bed? The mind has likes and dislikes to watch that movie, and the intellect says, no, tomorrow I have some purpose, therefore 10 o'clock I should wind up. This is how you can use it. Whether you go along with your likes and dislikes, then the mind is giving instructions to the physical body to continue watching that movie, continue chit-chatting with your family, or the intellect decides, the subtler equipment in you gives instruction that I have a purpose next morning, therefore by 10 I should wind up, go to bed. And at what time should I get up? I tend to sleep more. I like to sleep. Then again, what time should I get up? 5 o'clock. Keep that alarm, set that alarm and get up at 5 o'clock. And again, when the alarm is ringing, you have switched it off. Again at that time, the mind is saying, sleep for 10 more minutes. The intellect says, no, I have to get up. Purpose is there. You want to go for a jog, exercise, or you want to, read the newspaper. At what time you have to start to your office? then the presentation at office. What are the points that you want to speak? Whether you are working for the personal name and fame, or for the organization. What time to have your lunch? How much? Whether you want to have a vegetarian meal or a non-vegetarian meal. You decide everything. It's the intellect which decides. And then by 5:30 you wind up, because it might be a weekend, so you want to spend, you have already promised your family that you will spend time over the weekend. Then the office, maybe you require a little more time to be spent there, and if you're going to spend a little more time, immediately call the family back home and then say, I'll be late by an hour, because they will be thinking, what are you doing there? You have promised them that you will come back. And then that particular evening, whether if you are going out somewhere, then everything is planned, organized. Not just randomly, sporadically you perform your action. Again, that evening, it is your intellect which decides, as against mind's likes and dislikes, desires, emotions, etc. This is how you can lead your life with the intellect taking control and not being swayed by your mind's likes and dislikes. It does not mean that you are stifling your likes and dislikes, stifling your desires, your emotions. When you put up all your needs to the superior, the intellect in you, and if the intellect decides for the sake of the purpose what you're supposed to do, then life will be meaningful. It's like the receptionist receiving all the mails in the office. When the person receives mail, the letters, if he or she distributes without putting it up to the higher authority, then sometimes it might be a mess. Some important, information has come. Today everything is through email. So you open your, electronic gadget, you receive everything directly. But sometimes it comes through your, office staff. So what is to be put up to the higher authority? Then if the information, if the letters go to the higher authority, and the higher authority put his or her initial and say this goes to that department, this department, personal department, or the materials department, the stores, the production, etc. Then it comes back again to the receptionist, and it is the receptionist who actually delivers the the letters there, the mails there. Then there will be order in that organization. Exactly same thing happens with the human system. The mail, being received there is the information being received by the mind, and it is put up to the higher authority, the intellect, and it is the intellect which decides the further course of action. And that is what we are talking about, the role of intellect. William Drummond beautifully puts it, he who cannot reason is a fool. He who will not is a bigot. He who dare not is a slave. So the result of non-thinking, for a long period of time, has resulted in so much of problem at the individual level, so much of stress, worry and anxiety. Problem at home, at office, and then at the larger level there is so much of terrorism going on, vandalism. There is no unity. People have become highly selfish. Therefore, develop your intellect, and this can happen with questioning. If you are a student, I would advise this. If you want to develop your intellect, you can't neglect your studies. If you are studying for 2 hours in the morning, 4 a.m. to 6 a.m., 1 hour you spend time with your inner self, and 1 hour you spend time with your study material. When a person is well grounded in the inner self, the person can think logically, clearly, and hence able to apply oneself in the subjects he or she has chosen. This is beautifully depicted by Shakespeare's play Othello, where he says, Othello wanted, a captain in the army, and he chooses a rank outsider, cashier. On what basis? Because he says he is a mathematician. Mathematician here, what mathematics has to do with manning the army? Because a person, can think logically, clearly, can apply his or her reasoning in any sphere of activity. When a person is organized within, a person is organized outside. That is the understanding here. So, in the morning you study, and we have discussed so far, the last half an hour to 40 minutes, how you can relate this knowledge in the daily walk of life, and in the evening you do introspection. Introspection is an exercise of self-observation where you are recollecting all the experiences of